Welcome to Looking Within, a podcast for the spiritual explorer in each of us. I'm Julie. I love to explore the inner life using contemplative practices, and I love to help others to do the same. In our time together, I hope you gain a sense of hope, meaning, joy, and love. As a Christian spiritual explorer, I hope to offer some thoughts to help you see God's presence and activity in ever-expanding ways. As you listen, ponder, and experience the divine, feel free to use the spiritual perspective you are most comfortable with in our practice today. Now, let's begin. Today's episode concludes a 6-week-long look at 3 dimensions of life and our spiritual journey in which we experience and live out being beloved daughters and sons of God. The 3 concentric, expanding circles of love include communion, or intimacy with God, community, or hearing the voice of love with others as we mirror to each other our belovedness, and ministry, or tending to the needs of others through our words and actions. As we put a practical spin today on our discussion of ministry, one of the Bible stories about Jesus' ministry comes to mind, the feeding of the 5,000. Remember that remarkable story? The day was getting late as Jesus finished a time of teaching to a crowd of people who had followed him and his disciples out into the country. The disciples wanted to let the people return home so they could eat their evening meal, but Jesus proposed that the disciples feed them. But how could they, not having any food or money themselves? Then Jesus miraculously fed the large crowd with a small number of fish and loaves of bread offered by a boy in the crowd. The disciples distributed to the crowd the multiplied bread and fish, gathering up 12 baskets of leftovers after everyone had eaten. So what can we learn from this story as we think today about ministry to others? First, we know how connected to God Jesus was. He found opportunities to pull aside each day to commune with God, to be filled with the loving spirit of the divine. That helped him to notice the needs of others and to have the energy for and insights into what each person or group needed to feel loved and cared for. We also can see that Jesus valued community. He gathered 12 men and countless other women and men to walk with him and to serve with him. He mirrored to them their own belovedness, and I bet they learned how to do the same for him and for each other. And finally, Jesus and the disciples carried out rich ministry to others as they healed, taught, fed, and loved others. And did you notice? Once they had ministered to the crowd, there was plenty of food left over to provide a basket full of bread and fish for each disciple. As we share our love with others, as we give our time and share our possessions, there is always enough for everyone. Our own personal storage bin of love never runs dry when we have the initial connection to the divine. What does your own particular brand of ministry look like? You have unique gifts, talents, and life circumstances that create opportunities to love and serve others. How does ministry already show up in your life? Or how might it show up? I'll ask you to think about that during our quiet moments together. In this quiet space and time, I'd invite you to gently close your eyes. I'll sound the Tibetan singing bowl, which will call you to look within. As you're listening to the bowl's reverberations, take 3 deep breaths. Then let your breathing return to normal whenever you'd like. Hear the sound of the bowl now. Let it center you. Let it remind you that God is here with you. Consider what we can learn about ministry from Jesus' feeding of the 5,000. Remember how intimately connected Jesus was to the divine. He frequently heard the voice of love and then served others out of a heart filled with love. Breathe in that love yourself. Be filled with that love. Then, like Jesus, have eyes to spot others' needs. And as God's beloved, feel empowered to reach out to others in ways that fit your journey, your gifts and talents, and your life circumstances. Even small things matter when they're filled with love. As you serve alongside others, mirror and share in your belovedness. And notice how there will always be more than enough love and whatever you're offering to go around. In all these ways, consider your own ministry already taking place, or ponder dreams you've had of ways you feel called to serve the world. I'll be back with you in about 3 minutes. I'd invite you now to take a few deep breaths in and out, in and out, Let these breaths fill you with strength and energy. Hear me sound the Tibetan singing bowl, and as the sound of the bowl reverberates and slowly dies away, you can gently open your eyes, remaining still for a moment longer. We're all familiar with the age-old maxim, it is more blessed to give than to receive. How true we find this to be when we minister to others from our own sense of being loved and cared for by God. It is said that we cannot outgive God, and I think this rings true when it comes to serving and helping others. Much more than we can ever give comes back to us as we tend to the needs of others. A life of ministry fills us to overflowing with the very love that powers our service to others. It's that flywheel of love and community and ministry showing itself again, changing the life of both the giver and the receiver. Thank you for making time for your inner self today. Whatever you've discovered and experienced, carry that with you in the coming days. You can find more episodes at our website, Gloria-Day, that's DEI.com/lookingwithinpodcast, or subscribe through your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next time.